Blog Talk Radio.
Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. We gon' fight, we gon' shout for our rights without a doubt. We gon' love, we gon' sing, we gon' rise and do our thing. We gon' stand and join hands, united as one, we're in the man. Hear our voice, young and old, fight the lies, let the truth be told. Power in the people. Power in the people.
Yo, what's up? It's the Bill 720. We back in the house, family. And we got a special co-host today that we're gonna be conversing with in the house, and fellow comrade, fellow friend, Micheal. What's up, Mike? You there, bro?
Oh yeah, what's happening, my man?
Oh man, it's Sunday, another beautiful day. About to build, man. Did you end up going getting your dance on, man, last night?
No, I was some colleagues out in it was a different experience. It was more of that I guess you call it Kumba, the Colombian. Yeah. But it was actually a live show. It was some nice bands there.
All right, cool. How was the show, man?
The show was actually it was really nice. It was a couple of groups, and one group younger, I guess, and it's more like I guess authentic Colombian. So it was actually really nice to kind of hear an eclectic mix of Colombian / and then a little bit of punk funk mixed in some of it too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, different. It was cool though.
Yeah, I ended up going to that Micheal concert, man. It was cool.
Oh, okay. How was that?
Oh, it was tight, man. I mean, man, she throws down, man. I mean, it was really tight, man. So she's Micheal. I mean, what can you say? I mean, I mean, her fusion is what it is. A little rock, little R&B, little jazz.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. Have you ever seen her in concert before?
Yeah, I've seen her. Yeah, I've seen the show.
So, you know what I'm saying?
A while back. Yeah, no, that's why I was just asking how it was. I didn't know if the guys. I'm assuming the place was packed and it was crazy too. So.
Oh yeah, man, it was nuts, man. But I didn't get there till late because I was on the business. But I finally got there, man, and made it.
Yeah,
I finally made it. I finally made it there, man, and it was cool, man. The vibe was really positive. There's a lot of black folk out there representing. It was real cool, and then you had, you sprinkle of, other folk out there, So it was cool, man.
Yeah.
The vibe was cool. People weren't tripping, and that's what it is. So, speaking of, unfortunately, music that went from musicianship to going on wax and, MCs and et cetera, man. Today's topic is going to be hip-hop, man. The title specifically is Hip-Hop or Hip-Not in the current state of the music industry, man. So, yeah, brother. We usually go with me and Reg when we usually go into it. Sorry, family, Reginald. He might be calling into the show. I don't know. We'll see. The call-in number is 516-666-9835. 666-9835. Once again, this is the Bill 720. So, man, just briefly overall, man, I mean, in your humble opinion, where do you think, if you want to talk about hip-hop specifically, then you can, but if you want to talk about the industry, the music industry as a whole, where do you think the state is in? Now, if you want to go on the creative route, you can go that, or if you want to go on to the actual, financial or economic route, you can go there too. But whatever you want, man, what do you think, or how do you think the current state of hip-hop or the music industry in general it is right now?
Yeah, well, that would be that's a broad question. The only reason being is that you can take it different routes in different ways, just because of the fact that a lot of people will state that there are certain things wrong, or there are things wrong with the hip hop industry.
Mm-hmm.
And usually with me, if I talk, and sometimes I'll speak with Davey D and a couple of people up in the Bay, because that's where I'm from, it's more so everybody will take it from the standpoint of what's wrong with hip hop, but it's not necessarily what's wrong with hip hop so much as what's wrong with the mainstream cultural aspect of hip hop, and basically the hip hop music that is being promoted. Because then if you really get deep into it, you'll find some people that are really following these other eclectic groups. Like why I chose to go to that show last night as opposed to Micheal and because she's maybe 10 times Grammy nominated or whatever, and everybody really knows her. She did her own thing, but she's kind of out there. But then when you get to these underground groups and places, sometimes you'll find out that there's a lot. You'll say there's not any good music out there. Then you'll find out from some of these groups and some of these places that there actually is some pretty good music out there. It's just not popular, or it's just not promoted. So then it becomes, one time I actually stated to some people, there was a time for the conscious rapper. Now is a time for the conscious listener. You just have to be more conscious of what you want to listen to. I mean, the music music industry will change, but there's so many different excuses, and people will say, what has changed? Yeah, music has changed. The microwaves have changed, cars have changed, but you still don't vary from what the art or the commercial product or whatever is, to where, it got to the point to where Billboard magazine had a snap chart, because you had this thing that was snap music, because it literally was music that didn't have music in it, and it was just boom, boom, snap, boom, boom, snap. So they're just going to put charts out or create anything in order for it to be popular for them to make money. So do they define our music and sell it, or we define the music and then we give it to them to sell? And then you become the thing of sellout. That's really starts the whole debate or argument about anything about what's wrong with quote-unquote hip-hop so far, to me, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, man, you bring up a good point. Where in the process, in the creative process or the creation process to mass consumption, right? From where it originally started to what the listener actually gets it, you as a producer, me as a producer in music, I know sometimes when we go into the laboratory per se, and we might create, a basic kind of track, and then when the final product is there, sometimes it in a way makes its transformation, right? Now, I mean, we know, the transformation of that, from the original putting down the tracks to the mixing, and then to the final mastering. But can you kind of go into the process a little bit? Give the people kind of the workflow in terms of from creation. And, obviously you don't have to go into big detail, simple, right?
Well, at that point, I mean, it still gets to where it's kind of like I was able to work kind of off the cuff with inadvertently or indirectly, but directly with Berry Gordy, because I was working with Carrie Gordy, and we did this song for this neo soul chick she was on Hidden Beach at that time, Then she went to Concord Jazz, I believe, because she was going to be one of the first Caucasian chicks to sing neo soul, but due to people being lazy and all these other different red tape things or whatever you want to call it, she ended up not being the first, and then Joss Stone ended up becoming the first one, and she went to London, though, and really recorded her stuff live and everything, and all direct. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because there was a phone call. And basically, Berry Gordy was just basically saying that you don't want a hit is a hit by mistake, kind of, but at the same time, it's a hit for a reason, because you really don't want people to have to go to school to learn what you do. A hit is something that's simple. It's almost like a lullaby or whatever, So, hold on.
I mean, how much in the creation, in your opinion, how much in the creative process to mass consumption? I mean,
no, when I was going to elaborate,
how much do you think it changes though, like in between that process?
Well, I was just going to say that the one reason why he was saying that was because the Lee Jones project was actually more of a thing where it was kind of a cross between live and computer music and a lot of stuff in the studio, and then Joss Stone's was just pretty much live. So then the reason why he's stating that is it's all in a different opinion of how you would want to do things. So music itself was just recorded on, popular music was recorded on the medium that was popular at that time. So if it was a reel-to-reel, that's what it was. If it was a vinyl, that's what it was. If it went from a CD, if it was cassette, CD, digital to now just digital. So now everything is basically all digital. So you have a computer, now you're the basic person. They can get Fruity Loops, they can get a loop, you can go in there, you can do whatever and just record something, and anybody can be a star. When you talk about like the topic, which may be hip-hop or hip-not, what is necessarily hip-hop? I mean, there's huge debates because you just don't necessarily know what it is. So now we're talking about, first there were rhythm computers, drum machines, and then you had synthesizers, and you had all this stuff. You go in the studio, you lay down the track, then the vocalist comes in, and you lay down the vocal, then, pretty much it would be done. That's pretty much the short part of it. But the long part of it was somebody really went in and figured out about the concept of the song, and everything was based around a specific concept. The reason why I'm saying this is because when it comes from the history of it, which comes from jazz to all this other stuff, you wonder what's wrong with hip-hop now, because all of these elements started to get taken out when computers came in and just anybody just wanted to do anything. So you lost the conversation. You lost the concept. It started with me and you, Moya, saying, hey, I saw this girl last night and we really want to talk about her. So now since we amped, we know that we're going to get an amped drum loop, or we're going to program this drum thing, and we're going to get an amped bass line. Nowadays, you're not even trying to come from that creative standpoint. You're actually just getting samples from wherever you're getting them from, these pre-created loops or whatever. And now you're just finding them from there without that energy, or else the energy has to literally comes from the sample. Now, where does the sample come from? So you're constantly creating music from something that's recycled that you didn't build the concept with. Being that when you do gospel music, you do jazz music. When I was playing jazz, the whole point of doing jazz was all the big cats would tell you, from my uncle to all these other famous people we played with, would tell you jazz wasn't necessarily complicated. Once you understood jazz, it was because jazz was a conversation. So when you did jazz and you improvised, you were improvising off of different scales, everything. It was a conversation on stage, and you kind of just knew when to come in because it was improvised. You had a chart, but it was just improvised. It was literally after the trumpet played, you looked around, and if somebody had an answer, like a real good conversation, oh yeah, so-and-so. Same thing with the Dirty Dozens, and you joking. You come in. That was based off of just all feeling that was inside. Now, the things that's wrong with hip-hop now is because you have these loops that you don't know where the energy came from. You're just grabbing them. They're all in time. You don't even have any skill. Sometimes your answer with your skill was, hey, man, did you hear that? Because of Paul Revere, we did the backwards kick drum. That was something that was hard to do.
Right.
That's not hard anymore. You can just find that loop. So now little kids are like, dude, that doesn't matter. That shit is so easy. You know what I'm saying? So now anything that you did from skill to try, you had to be a DJ. You had to match up the two loops. If you was, De La Soul, you had to match up to. That was part of the magic of the music industry, that you were actually a worksmith. So a lot of people will complain about, well, what's being, why is the music industry losing so much money in downloads? You can really say anything, but most people are going to tell you that's a scapegoat, because the biggest reason what's wrong with hip hop and why the music industry lost most of its money is because the smoke and mirrors are gone. Everybody knows your tricks now, because your whole point about the music industry, and even in hip hop, your thing was, I like these people so much because they have a skill that I can't do, and they are so brave to get on stage or on a record and do something that I can't do. Now you can do that with Fruity Loops. The average person can get, it's like, you have to go to school to be a plumber. You have to go to school to be a nurse. You have to go to school to be a doctor. Anybody can be a producer.
Right, man, and you bring up a valid point, man. I wrote a couple things down, man. It's a trip because I remember, it was like, dang, probably like 8-9 years ago, and I went up to, I think it was like Portland, Oregon at the time, man, and peace out to my uncle. I went up to his funeral, and my cousin at the time, he was like, well, I told him, I said, man, let's get up, let's get out and do something. I said, man, I feel like I want to record something, just get stuff off our chest. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I know a dude, he has this little home studio spot, so we can go there. So I was like, all right, man, let's roll over. So it was me, I think my two cousins at the time, and maybe somebody else, but anyway, so we went over there. And when we first got there, he set up his little studio. And I said, hey, man, you have a keyboard? Because, I can, drop a little, music, a little beat, put a little something over. He's all, no, I don't have a keyboard. I was like, okay. So how are we going to do this? Oh, no, I bought beats. I was like, what? Excuse me? Yeah, man, you go to this website, you download it, you can buy the beat. I was like,
you can lease a beat for $20, yeah.
So, now we're talking about, as you were saying, we're going from, even from a state of, because I grew up as a musician, you know what I mean? And so now we're going from, even if it's on a keyboard or, what are those, 808s or whatever, those beat machines, at least you're doing something to try to formulate a creative process, something. But you're right, man. We're talking about with just samples, Fruity Loops, etc. So speaking of that, man, what's your take on autotune, bro?
Autotune to me is like what a lot of stuff is for a lot of other people too, to where people like Jay-Z and all of us new school people or new old school people, autotune is just basically, when you talk about the death of it, it was pretty much not so much an argument of what the younger people took it as. They took it personal, where it was more so, it's like autotune should have been used like how reverb was back in the 70s, and it was supposed to have been something that just added to it, like with the, because a lot of people would try to ask about, well, what happened, and then when somebody really came out and said, it was really called the Cher effect, and it really was, because that song, Believe in Love, Believe in Life After Love, it was kind of a thing that blended her voice and just helped her kind of become a half robot, half with the music. It wasn't meant to replace a singer. So usually if real people have a problem with auto-tune, it's not so much because somebody you're just old and you're just bashing new technology. It's not that you're bashing new technology. It's that nobody told you to take something that was supposed to have been an effect and actually replace the singer, and now you're replacing creative ideas. And that, once again, now you're taking away from the personal aspect of the creation of music, which is like that, it's like having a robot go to an art gallery and draw pictures. And now you're going to call this robot the greatest artist that ever lived. Because it's like, no, dude, it's not. It's just that's just a robot. And he is good at what he does, but he shouldn't. the whole point of a human being an artist is because it's supposed to be a form of expression. And yes, you can express with auto-tune. But now with hip-hop, you're not even expressing with auto-tune. You're actually trying to create. And because you're not a real producer, because a producer's job is supposed to be the same job as a director in a movie, you're responsible for the end product. So if you can't play the keyboard, your job is to hire the best keyboardists, because basically when it's done, you need to be able to be responsible for the whole project. Okay, so like I said, once again, if you can't play the instruments, you're supposed to be able to be the person that's responsible for hiring the best musicians to get everything done. Now, I'm saying that because in some people would try to say, well, P. Diddy and all these other people still be producers. Not necessarily, because if a song is already done because it's already pre-done before you get in there and you just tell somebody to raise the hand clap and then say that you produced it, yeah. You know, so then you can say it, but that's not a producer. You're supposed to be able to go in and tell the singer when they're flat, that you're below the note a little bit, or you're breathing wrong, or whatever. You're supposed to know everything, just like a doctor. You're supposed to be the director, so you know where everything is coming from. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because how do you know that when you got this beat that was leased from somewhere else, you didn't even research the beat, you didn't know, the only thing is you said, okay, maybe it fits. Then you got Fruity Loops once again. If you want to mix some things, the whole thing was the beauty of hip-hop. Hip-hop, if you had to describe hip-hop with one word, that one word would probably be the one word called remix. And the reason why was because one thing that hip-hop really was supposed to do was supposed to blend and merge various different cultures. So if you didn't know flamenco music, hip-hop would have been able to introduce you to flamenco music by having some urban/hip-hop beats and music infused into this flamenco music, or vice versa. But once again, that's still coming from people's feelings, people's cultures, yada, yada, yada. Now it's so easy because you just find something that you don't even know what the blanket is, and you just put it together. Like you say, you got a beat or you got a loop, and then you just put it in there and you just put it out there. Then after that, the basic thing is with mainstream hip-hop, what makes the quote-unquote new people who think they're producers, what makes them take it even that farther is because they will base their thing off of the opposite of what we did. When we were coming up, the music industry followed us as an artist. Nowadays, the artist tries to follow the music industries, which basically means I'm going to get in heated debates and heated arguments with serious people when they try to tell me this blank rapper is the best rapper of all time, when literally you're the best rapper of all time because of how many records that you sold.
Right.
I don't care about how many records that you sold, because that's like saying there's a very famous restaurant in Paris, and it's been known since like maybe 1800s because of the most famous food, and it has 6 Michelin stars. So now you're going to tell me that because McDonald's has a sign that says over 6 billion people served, and since it has over 6 billion people served, it's a better restaurant, and its food is food, and it's better than that restaurant in Paris. That's where we're at.
Man, brother, you hit it right on the point.
That's what pissed me. That's my issue. That's not hip-hop.
No, it's not. And, I think KRS-One, he kind of touched on that point a little bit, because when you have, like, MCs like KRS-One, who was able to, balance both the quote-unquote underground and also with, his mainstream, success. He was able to balance it, and I think a lot of, hip-hop artists, if you want to call them conscious, if you want to call them party, whatever it was, I think, at one point in the golden age of hip-hop, which was probably between, like, the early 80s maybe to before, Puff Daddy got in the game, like, mid-90s or something like that, where you just had that balance, man. You in a general sense, you can go from Tribe Called Quest all the way over to something like Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? And you
but once again, you're still speaking on the commercial aspect, though. It's like, because at that point you still would have had some other groups that would have been underground in different areas. And like, if I'm from the Bay Area, you're talking about like the Hieroglyphics and You know, some of these other groups that would have been out there, and I don't know if it was a group called the Academics, I'm trying to think, maybe not, but I'm just saying it's just that these little other groups that would be big in different areas that would give you that balance, but then it was like the whole point with hip-hop, I even asked somebody else, I'm like, you got to almost really go back to ask the people who actually coined the phrase, you know, who coined it hip-hop or who actually even really named it hip-hop, because you get that now when you try to look at the history of it and try to call some of it hip-hop now, but I mean, at that point, it was really considered rap, and it would be more considered the golden age of rap. And I tell people hip-hop is more like a diamond. It has many facets, and a better diamond is a diamond where all of or many of the facets actually shine. So rap was supposed to have only been one aspect of it, because in hip-hop would be music, dance, graffiti, DJing, all these different things. But then all of a sudden, this main thing just called rap became hip-hop. And the music industry really didn't know how to sell that to quote unquote, and I can say it now, I don't care on the radio show, but they didn't know how to make this palatable or safe to sell it to the white man. So they called it hip hop instead of rap, because white folks wasn't rapping back then. You didn't have Marky Mark. You didn't have the soon to be coming up Eminem. You barely had so I can't remember the other guy's name, Bubba. That Timbaland had and all these other, you didn't have them rapping from the South, and just like how you still don't have black folks, and I could say white or black, because you don't have that many black folks singing country music. Yet country music is like rock, which is based off of blues, and how many black people are famous doing blues? So why would you have black people singing country? It's because they don't know how to sell it to these people who are culturally, and when I say culturally ignorant, meaning that when you have culture, you accept something because of the ingredients of the how or way you like it. You don't really accept it or reject it just because of the person who created it. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, rap would have been rejected because these quote-unquote Caucasians, their parents or whatever would have been mad at their kids for listening to something like that. And with country, you don't want these black folks listening to this music because this is quote-unquote our music. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, I'm saying all that because rap had that stigma. Now the major record labels realize we're pimps and we got a way to sell something. How are we going to sell this product? So now they go back and do their research and development, talking about if we just rename this and package it another way, we can make this universal and now we can sell it. But now what? Either we got to change all the artists or we got to get artists who are willing to change. Now we start getting into modern-day hip-hop and modern-day quote-unquote selling out.
Right.
And then that's what actually starts changing hip-hop.
Right. Good points, man. We got about 30 seconds for the live stream. We can continue this conversation. So it's up to you. Do you want me to cut the stream, and we can continue about 15 minutes, or should we go in it and then I could post it up?
No, I mean, if you want to go in, if you need to tell me, let me know if you got your points in. Yeah.
All right, man. No, I think we'll go for about another 15. So we're going to stop the show, and then we're going to do part 2. So this is the Bill 720, and we're going to go probably about another 15 minutes because I think there's definitely some more points, man, we want to try to hit up. All right, you guys, we're going part 2. All right, peace.
Peace, y'all.